Hey all, here at OS Reviews, you're watching our video first look and a quick review of the Power D29. This is a car jump starter. It's also a heavy-duty power bank, which you can use to charge any smartphone, tablet when on the go, and it's a pretty good kit to keep in a vehicle or car in the case of emergencies. It sells on Amazon for about 90 bucks, which isn't cheap, but at the same time it's relatively affordable compared to other electric car jump starters on the market. And the unit itself features a 800 milliamp hour capacity battery pack, 2 USB ports, as well as a digital display that can tell you the percentage of the battery remaining and the power output as it's charging or jump starting another device. Bolt Power does also produce quite a lot of other models of car jump starters, and one of them comes with an air compressor that enables you to inflate the tire of a car or a bike using the electric power of the unit, which is a pretty cool feature. And there's also slightly slimmer ones that are slightly more affordable, but they're always going to be within the $60 to $100 price range. So the packaging here is pretty typical for a car jump starter. We'll be comparing the size in a second with some other models that we've checked out recently. Presentation inside, there's access to a user manual that you can take a look at in terms of how to attach it to a vehicle to jump start it, and also tells you kind of what the battery percentage is left using the LED lights. So if it's green, it's at a healthy rate. And we've already taken this out of the box, but this is what it looks like. The entire thing is coated in a soft touch rubber material, which makes it a little bit more durable in day-to-day use and shock absorbing. So we'll take a closer look at it in a second. Up top, we have all the accessories, inclusive of a car charger. So if you want to charge up the power when you're in the car, that's what you'll use. And then these are the two clamps for jump starting the car. Finally, there's also a AC adapter charger, so if you're in the house, you can also charge up the power bank. It does use a proprietary prong as opposed to something like USB Type-C or micro USB, which would have been preferred maybe in a next generation model. One additional accessory that you'll get in the box that I didn't show earlier was this multifunction charging cable. So it plugs into the USB port on the bank, and otherwise we have 3 leads, so you can charge 3 devices at the same time. There's a lightning adapter for newer iPhones and iPads. There's a 30-pin connector if you still have one of the older iPads or phones, and finally there is a micro USB cable for charging most Android tablets and computers. It's a flat ribbon wire, so it prevents tangling and has actually a pretty unique design that matches the color scheme of the D29. The body of the D29 is coated in a layer of soft touch rubber that makes it easy to grip, it resists fingerprints, and gives it a slightly more rugged shell in case you drop it. Otherwise, although it's quite portable, you can see it is slightly larger on the outside at least compared to some other popular electronic jump starters in the market. This is the Noco Genius Boost Plus, and here is a DB Power version that's slightly more generic. Both of these have about the same functionality as well as similar pricing. On the edge, we have access to all the controls. Compared to Noco and DB Power, what's new here is the presence of a real LCD screen that tells you more specifically what percentage of battery is left and also what charger port is used. So you get a more accurate result as opposed to just LEDs that estimate, let's say 25% is left. This is, again, will be more realistic. There's also access to additional power keys that you can tap on once to begin charging. There's the 2 USB 2.0 ports that can give you up to 5 volt 2.1 amps, which is powerful enough to even charge a larger tablet such as an iPad or iPad Pro. There's also the input for the charger that juices up the power bank itself, and there's also a dedicated on-off switch in addition to a rubber flap that covers up the port for connecting the jump starters. There's some basic specifications printed on the sides, and on the very top there's also an LED flashlight or a torch. The torch also gives you an SOS mode, so long holding on the power key for a few seconds longer will turn on this flashlight. Briefly turning off the lights in the room here, you can tell that it's actually fairly bright. It's using an LED bulb, and if I tap on it again, that's when I can access the SOS mode so that I can contact help in emergencies if I'm stranded somewhere and there's not too many people nearby. There's also a strobe mode that will just continuously flash, and then tapping on it again will turn everything completely off. You can also tell that the backlight for the screen here is actually very readable as well. It's orange, so you can still see it in the dark, just how much percentage of the battery is left. Moving into performance, let's discuss the power bank USB charging rates first. So I'm going to plug this into a standard micro USB based smartphone just to show you guys that it indeed works, and simply tapping on the power key once will begin the charging automatically. It's a smart charger in the sense that it will continuously charge the battery on your phone until it reaches maximum capacity, and afterwards it will shut off by itself, so it's not going to overheat or overcharge your device. You can indeed use all 3 of the ports from just one USB tip without any interference. So I tried charging an Android phone, a iPhone, in addition to an older iPad, and all 3 devices were charging at the same time. Obviously it's going to drain the battery in the unit pretty quickly, but it does fully work. It splits the juice with just this one cable. That's pretty interesting and cool. Afterwards, of course, you can also charge 2 devices if you have 2 USB cables, and it won't disturb the performance either. When it's charging, the display will always remain on. It's going to give you an indicator of what USB port is being used, and also the output, which is 5 volts 2.1 amps at the moment. So you can tell at a quick glance it's going to be always on what percentage of the battery is left. In terms of overall speed, I was relatively satisfied. Now, it's not a Qualcomm quick charge enabled power bank, so if you have a QC 3.0 smartphone, you're not going to necessarily get the full extent of the benefit, but it still gives you pretty quick performance. I would say an average smartphone with a 3000 milliamp hour capacity battery fully charged up in under 2 hours, sometimes as quick as 1.5 hours. The iPhone 6 and the iPhone 7 charged up in under 2 hours as well. The 6 Plus took a little bit under 2.4 hours to completely charge up, and the iPad and other larger tablets were also fully charged up in under 2.5 hours to 3 hours, depending on the manufacturer. So all in all, you get pretty decent performance. It's definitely comparable to other heavy-duty extended power packs on the market that don't have QC built right on in. But the fact is, it remains pretty cool in performance, and I like the fact that you can use actually multiple cables and multiple tips of the cables that doesn't really interfere with the performance when you are charging up your devices. So that is the power bank functionality. All right, so moving into how it works as a jump starter. So as aforementioned, this is what the adapter looks like. It's actually a standard tip. So if you have any other jump starter such as the one from DB Power or Noco, those tips can actually plug right on in as well. When you plug it in, there's also an LED light on the one that they give you that gives you a kind of a flashing warning symbol that tells you this port is now active. And from there, all you need to do is connect the 2 prongs, the red and the black, to the plus and minus on your car after opening up the hood to reveal the engine, and then you tap on this key and it will jumpstart it for you automatically. So that process is fairly smooth, and overall it works as expected. The prongs themselves are pretty tight, and they give a good overall grip when you are actually using them. The cable length here is a little bit short, but it's about the same as you would find on any other competitor such as DB Power or Noco, since it's really meant as a portable unit. And it will jumpstart any standard car engine. It will jumpstart, let's say, a motorcycle, a lawnmower, even smaller trucks without any problems. And some other statistics to quickly keep in mind: the peak current amps, it goes up to 900 amps. And again, they are made out of copper to ensure a tight contact between the device and also your car. And afterwards, there's a attention detail here, is that if the battery is below 25%, it may not always jumpstart it successfully. There's actually a safe measure that will prevent the jumpstarting from actually proceeding. So you have to make sure there's at least 25% juice remaining in the power pack. It does a pretty good job as far as retaining the power, so you can charge it up once, store it for a relatively long period of time without having to worry about it. The thing about Bolt Power is that they produce a pretty large collection of these jump starters. So most of them are very similar as far as overall capacity and performance, but you can change some of the smaller details, like the fact that the D28 that I was talking about earlier includes the tire compressor, so you get an extra feature built on in. There's another version that's slightly smaller that features Qualcomm's quick charge, so that would work better as even a regular power bank. So you kind of have to play around. If you want one detail or one feature more than the other, they also sell some other variants. I would say that the D29 is a pretty good all-in-one pack. So compared to some of the again, other versions that we saw here, for instance, the DB Power's highlight would be the fact that it also is capable of charging up laptops. But then again, there's another variant from Bolt Power that also has that feature, but not the D29. However, the Bolt Power has a smaller capacity, and it doesn't have quite as tough of a build because everything is made out of this plastic Yeah, it's kind of hollow as opposed to this soft touch rubber material and a larger capacity. And then again, there is the Noco, which I like because it has a standard micro USB port for charging, which makes charging the unit itself pretty easy. But on the downside, the power indicator here is definitely not as accurate as having a real LCD screen. It also is slightly more bulky in its overall finish and its design, but has a smaller capacity. That's a review of the Bolt Power D29 car jump starter and power bank. This is a good gadget to keep in the car just for those emergency situations. It can really be a life-saving gadget with those safety features built right on in, and it could potentially be more cost effective because if one day your car engine fails and you have to tow your car away, that will be pretty expensive if you don't have the right insurance. This is just, again, a very nice piece of kit that is well constructed, keeps the battery charged for a relatively long period of time, and has a good construction quality. And furthermore, if you live in rural areas where maybe if the engine will fail on a road that is not too busy, there's not a lot of people nearby, then really being able to jumpstart the battery is quite important. So you can check out more details about the D29, how it stacks up against other competitors in our article, but for now this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.